Welcome back, Flyers Nitty Gritty fans, to Getting Gritty with It with your host, Yariv, Wolok, my partner in crime, Vasili, Gianarakos. Vasili, welcome back for another episode, buddy. How you doing?
Doing good, buddy. I mean, halfway through the week, pretty slow on the Flyers front, obviously, but still some tidbits, we're going to dive into, and we always, have something in terms of the Flyers to kind of wrap our heads around. So it's going to be a fun episode. I'm excited. How about you, buddy? How you doing?
I am excited as well. Yeah, you were just bringing up a good point that we actually have like a little bit of different stuff to talk about, I guess, kind of in like the most boring part of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. And also looking forward to introducing our guest for the evening. She is part of our site, our group, our family, if we say the Flyers Nitty Gritty family, Rebecca McCormick, one of our writers. And I will say this, and because she's going to be a little too humble about it, probably, she is a humongous help right now in everything we're doing in the back end, for sure. The website, the social media stuff. She's just been an awesome contributor. So I wanted to get her on here and talk some Flyers, talk about what she's doing. Rebecca, what's up? How you doing?
Hi.
Hey. She just for those listening, she shocked us a little bit. She turned on the camera earlier and she was wearing a Caps jersey just for shock value. It definitely worked.
It definitely did work, yeah.
It definitely worked.
We were not expecting a Caps jersey, I don't think.
It was Ovechkin though, so
So that's respectable.
Yeah.
If you're gonna wear any Caps jersey. Oh, really? Okay.
No. No, I'm just gonna sip my drink. Nope.
Okay. Well, so Rebecca, I said this to you earlier. I'm sure you're gonna want to be a little humble for this, but I just want people to know that, like, if you guys have seen, we have some new look and feel, obviously, to the websites come on. And then also, if you look at our social media stuff, just stuff's kind of gone up a little bit, at least from like pizzazz and just like the type of stuff we're sharing and even just like utilizing new features and whatnot. I'm working a lot more nowadays, so I've had a lot less time. Jamie's obviously managing a ton on his own. And we have Vasili working on here. And we have awesome other people, but you've come in and just like grabbed it by the horns and just made a bunch of awesome changes. And thank you, first of all. But also, like, what are you thinking? Like, do you have any other, like, what were your thoughts behind the website change? Like, is there anything else that you were thinking, like, doing or stuff that you have in mind?
I want to thank you for letting me like totally hijack your social media and like website page. I've never done anything like that before. Like, I've never designed or created a website. My social media has been non-existent for probably 7-8 years. I just jumped on Facebook probably about a year ago. My husband works in law enforcement, so we tend to like keep a lot of our, business,
Sure.
not out there. And I was just posting a lot of flyer stuff, and Jamie was like, I didn't know you were such a fan. I'm like, oh yeah, I am. I got a Flyers tattoo. Okay. So like, if I'm tattooing the Flyers on my body,
You're serious. You're
like,
serious.
I'm serious.
That's a commitment.
So my parents are season ticket holders, and I'm always going up with them. I spend more time in Philadelphia, in South Philly, than I do in Delaware during hockey season. Like, I should be paying
Fun
taxes.
place to be, though, right?
I love it. Like, if I could just get up and move, I would do it. But I said, like, if you need pictures or like an article, jokingly, he's like, absolutely. And it just like took off from there. And I just started like banging out these articles. And then I'm like, okay, it's the off season. Like, there's not really much to write about. I mean, there is and there isn't. But I like to write from a fan's perspective. So not being there and like giving the people, my perspective during games. It's just like, okay, I got to find something else to do. So I'm like, look, your website was great and all, but it really, it really needed some updated like changes and whatnot. So I wanted to like freshen it up, and I said something to you guys about it. And you're like, sure. And I was like, oh shit. Like, they're trusting me with their like, no, this is not real. So I did this big thing. And then I was like, shit, I don't like this. Like, I don't like the first one I did. And then I was like, I think I've made like 3 or 4 changes since then. But I really like it. I don't know like what everybody else, I did put a survey at the bottom. Like, hey, tell us about our site. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Because I mean, it's the supporters, it's the readers.
Yeah, the user feedback.
Yeah. Actually, so
that's a great point. Actually, Rebecca, what's your Twitter or what's your Twitter name?
I don't know.
Or
I think it's Becker's 8183. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same across the board.
Okay. Well, you'll be tagged in this tomorrow too, but this goes out to anybody who does use our website on a regular basis or anything. I'm going to throw this out right now. Reach out to Rebecca if you have feedback about the website, about anything. Obviously, you can reach out to me or Vasili as well, or even Jamie, and everybody should know Jamie if you guys listen to us. I hope that you do. But obviously, reach out to us or reach out directly to Rebecca.
Yeah, we'll read it and we'll take it into consideration, right? Because obviously that's the main thing when you're like building a website or building anything that people are going to interact with, right? You want to make it user friendly and an experience that they're obviously going to enjoy when they spend the time on the website. And Rebecca's made that a lot better, I'd say, with the changes that she's put forth.
I mean, for me, it's a dream. Look, I put stuff together fast, and I am doing a lot of other stuff on top of this, so I'm like extremely busy right now. So for me, it allows me to focus on hockey. It's like one of the best things I did so far was bringing Vasili on.
Same here, to be honest.
Yeah, like he helps carry the weight of this stuff, and it's been amazing. So know that what you've done is awesome. There's a reason we said yes. I mean, like, I don't think we would have said yes to anyone. I mean, we said yes because you honestly did a bunch of stuff leading up to that, which were awesome. And I think your execution has been great. And honestly, you delivered. You said, I'm going to do it. And you went for it. And even though like you can hear, you're like, oh, I'm not 100. You're never going to really feel 100% with any of it. But it looks really good. It's readable. It looks newer. It looks fresher. We'll keep making it better. But I love that you grabbed it. And anybody who's listening to this, if you're, and again, I started off with Jamie asking me when we wrote for somebody else, like this is not something that like anything you guys do, just don't be afraid to just pick it up or try. Somebody might ignore you or reject you, or you might fail in the beginning. It does not matter.
If you don't try, you never know, right?
I had I'll tell you right now, I had somebody when I used to do all those videos, almost every single video I did, somebody who wrote with me, I will leave names out of it, that I used to get a long text message every time telling them I'm embarrassing the brand and blah, 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 blah. And my attitude was, I'm just going to make more videos then. So I just started doubling up the amount of videos that I made.
Motivation.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, let's just make more then. And if you look at some of those videos, it's me just learning how to talk on camera, but they're not bad at all. So I was like, I didn't mind, So I was just like, I'd keep going. So that's just something you have to think about, is like, don't be afraid and don't let other people stop you. And that's why, Rebecca, that's why Jamie and I have the attitude that we do, because we know what it's like, and nor do we expect anybody here to be perfect. And if you hear the way I talk about athletes, same attitude towards the Flyers players themselves. I treat the people here the way we treat the players also, is like, nobody here has to be perfect. You have to go out and do it. You grabbed it. I think it's awesome. So I want people to be aware of it. And that's one of the biggest reasons I came here, is because if you do own this, and again, if you're not here at FNG forever, it's whatever, you know what I mean? Thank you for as long as you want to be here, and that's always the attitude. But if you're here and you own this and you put all that work into it, I want people to see. I want them to recognize who put in a bunch of work. And if they have feedback and ideas, you obviously everybody knows they can come to us. I get DMs. Jamie definitely gets DMs, right? Vasili, I know you get some DMs as well.
Yeah, sometimes.
But like, I want people to hit you up, especially if they have things about the website that they want, or content, or anything at all, as long as it's not
negative.
If anybody harasses you, let me know. Fault. Yeah, right. Probably.
Yariv takes full ownership of that.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't realize that.
I'm going to be banned from Twitter exactly. 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, anyway, so thank you again for doing that. Again, what's your Twitter name one more time?
Becker's 8183.
Okay, cool. So find her on the site and give her feedback on her post or whatever.
I have like 24 followers. Like, yeah, I just jumped on the Twitter train in April. I'm like, what's this Twitter thing? Jamie's like, you probably want to get on Twitter. I'm like, okay.
Well, there you go.
It's a cesspool of hate, though. Yes. And I try to be hate. Like, I try.
Look, I don't
I try.
recommend Twitter for everyday communication.
No.
And if there's not a good avenue, we'll make sure that we have an FNG email for you or something. And actually, you can do that as well. You can also email us at flyersnittygritty@gmail.com, just so you guys are aware. We never really say that on here, but you can.
I know. Actually, we don't.
It's on the site. So there's actually like a contact page.
Yeah.
And then there's a, sorry, my son just came in because the street lights came on and he's like talking to the Alexa to turn on the light. It's like, turn on the damn light switch. It's not that hard.
I'm sorry.
Aw, you're all right, buddy.
That's okay.
Flyers.
No
this
worries.
is the Flyers.
What's up, little man?
What's going on, brother?
I mean, what are you? The Flyers like? I don't even know what to call him. He talks so much shit, and I shouldn't talk like that in front of my kid. But so we were at, what was it, the Penguins game, and it was the Penguins game, and it's when Sidney Crosby got the goal, the first goal for the Penguins, and it was like the third period. So everybody's like getting up and like going like this, and he stands up. Now, mind you, he's 9. He's like 56 pounds, and he's like, sit down. He was like, it's only one goal, people. And he's like,
he's keeping the positive vibes. I love it.
Listen, but we're surrounded by Penguins fans. I'm like, dude, like, calm down.
Penguins can't skate.
I know the Penguins can't skate. Okay, go find something to do.
That is the name of this episode. Penguins can't skate.
Penguins can't skate.
That is amazing.
People are probably gonna see that name and be like, "Why is this name
love that,
dude." You gotta note that down. That's amazing.
That was a great way to segue.
Right. Yeah. So, but anyway, but yeah. So all the contract stuff. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's all good. Let's get into Flyers talks. We'll give people a little bit of what they want. How about that?
Ooh.
Okay.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Well, let's get into it. We have a few topics, none of which are that striking. I actually have this in a certain order, but I think I'm going to change it because I want to talk about World Junior.
I was going to literally say, do you want to do the World Junior recap?
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the first thing. I do want you to recap it a little bit more because I think you watched more of the games than I did, Vasili. But
yeah,
I'll go through the statistics that I pulled together and then I'll let you recap.
Perfect.
So performance-wise, Forrester finishes with 3 goals, 3 assists, +6 in 7 games. Denoye, and we'll go through each player separately. Yeah. But Denoye had the 1 assist, -1 and 7 games. I know people are probably disappointed by that. Andrea, not only team captain, but 4 goals, 4 assists, a +6 in 6 games. Extremely impressive. And then Brian Zanetti, 2 assists, -4. 4 games. Not too bad, actually. -4 is actually not that bad considering how outmatched they are in the tournament.
Yeah.
Vasili, why don't you give us a quick recap of where things stand? This is the last time we talked, which is what, a week ago?
Yeah, basically. So pretty much just since the last time around, quarterfinals of the World Juniors were starting out. And then obviously the tournament has ended. So just to go through kind of the big winners, you get Canada with the gold medal win and like a really, really exciting final game against Finland, who places with the silver medal. 3-2 win for Canada, goes into overtime in a gold medal game. Like, what more can you want? Obviously, as a hockey fan watching a hockey game. And then you get some drama as well. You get a last minute, save on the line by Mason McTavish, kind of with like his skate / stick almost, and the goalie's out of the net kind of flailing, which is crazy in overtime of a gold medal game. And then you get Kent Johnson finishes up for Canada. So like great tournament for Canada, obviously getting the gold. I mean, they're the favorites going into it to start out. So they came through there. And then Finland with the silver medal. And then you get in the bronze game of Sweden, Czech Republic, and Sweden gets a 3-1 win there over the Czechs. You get 3 Flyers prospects all medal, with Tyson Forster and Desnoyers getting the gold, and then Emile Andre getting the bronze there. And I just think for obviously the Flyers perspective and the prospects, I mean, Andre and Forster are really the 2 prospects that stand out the most. Though Zanetti as well, I mean, with Switzerland, who isn't the greatest team, as you were saying, you have 2 assists in 4 games, and he was playing banged up. So that's pretty impressive too. And I believe he's only 19, so young guy. But those two, Forster and Andre, like they had great tournaments. Obviously, Forster coming off the injury, you kind of see some of his game coming back because he had really only played like 7 or 8 games with Barry and a couple with the Phantoms, and that was it for last season with that shoulder injury. So you see him kind of rounding into form a bit before training camp, getting his shot back, getting the legs under him. And I mean, he contributes pretty well. There were 6 points in 7 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. And then you have Emile Andre, not only captain of the team, but also all media team tournament or all a tournament media team as well. So like he places with the top 5 players in the tournament as one of the defense slots there. So obviously people are recognizing that he's a force to be reckoned with. I think in junior hockey, kind of coming up into the pros, into the SHL, because he is going up to the main SHL league next season in preparation kind of for, I guess, going to the NHL. So that's the big recap for me. I'll let you guys in on that. And what did you guys think about the prospects?
Yeah, no, that was a perfect recap. I was hoping. I actually didn't even know about the all media team. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear. And not that surprising. Rebecca, I'm going to ask you, because you even say that you look to right from a fan perspective, right? So let's get that fan take, because Vasili and I are like, we're super nerdy about this, right? We're like talking like we want to be general managers all day long. Yeah. So let's think about it as a fan, right? You hear the names Andrea, Forrester. They're not that well known to the public, right? Like most common Flyers fans, they don't know who these guys are. Yeah. You hear they do really well in a tournament. Does it make you excited? Do you feel like those two guys, like, do you feel like they're a real name even for what you heard so far? Or are you still like a little skeptical and you're like, well, whatever, it's just another tournament?
I don't know. I think I'm excited. I mean, we have to be. Oh gosh, I don't even know how to like start with this. I try to be as positive about my team because we've been let down a lot this year. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to be positive.
Like the fact that you have a defenseman who is like the all media team. Like, so this is something like we talked about the podcast quite a bit is the fan base like, is the relationship
the prospects?
Yeah. Is it so damaged, the relationship at this point, that when you hear, because it used to be exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
And I feel like nowadays it's not as exciting for fans anymore.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't hear a lot about it. I would like to be positive and excited about it. I'm not going to lie. I had it on the TV. I was working on the site, but I wasn't in tune to it. Like if I'm at home watching a Flyers game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why I'm asking, honestly, because I suspect that the average even Flyers fan approached this tournament this way, where I think back in the day, I think there would have been more eyes on this tournament from the casual Flyers fans, because people would have been, oh my God, we have like Tyson Forster coming in through the system and we're already good. What can we do with like, now everybody's like, yeah, he's not going to help.
Yeah. Right? You've hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, really it's just not the mindset to have, though. I would say, like, I understand where people are coming from. It's not accurate.
I would agree.
Yeah, I understand where people are coming from because they're so frustrated, and then they probably saw a crop of prospects beforehand come up through Hextall where, some guys miss, like a Patrick, or some guys don't turn out to be exactly what you expected potentially them to be. But I mean, that always happens. Drafting's not a perfect science. So, I mean, just because you didn't, as a staff, hit on a certain guy, you can't undervalue what a future pick could do for you, right? I guess, but obviously the reality is people are frustrated. They want to see a good team. So until prospects come and make an impact at the NHL level, most of them aren't really going to get the same recognition as they would have in the past, I think, and that's just due to the team not being very good in the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And it's sad, like it really is sad. Like we should be supporting these guys at the level they're at now, and not when they get up to NHL. Like.
It's almost like a prove it to me thing. I think that's what fans are looking for. Like, prove it to me at this level, because we've been sold, fool's gold in the past with certain guys. And I think that's what a lot of the attitude fans have, which they're totally right to have that attitude.
Yes.
But there's a more logical way to look at it.
I think Rebecca hit on something actually I think is actually spot on. It's really sad. Like it's just really sad. It's like you cannot blame anyone for being disenfranchised at all. Like if you do, you're just being an asshole. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's been painful to watch this team, so you cannot blame anybody for saying I don't want to. You know, like you can't blame anybody for being super frustrated. But at the same time, it is at the end of the day sad because there is a lot of things here to if you kind of like push away all the garbage that we've been dealing with, there's actually some really great gems in here. And a guy like Emil Andre, right? Like, this is why I was bringing this up.
In the shuffle.
It's lost in the shuffle. Like I didn't even hear what you said to me. I've been this week because work-wise been insane, and I would have heard about it eventually, but like that is really big news.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
You have national media at such a high level, at such a prestigious tournament, giving a Flyers prospect, the defensive
one of two defensemen
exactly
for the entire tournament, where he had 4 goals, 4 assists, and a +6 in 6 games. Yeah. And what did he get in the end? Bronze?
Bronze medal, yeah.
Bronze medal, right. He got the bronze medal in the end, which is not the best, okay, but still pretty good. Obviously a team
but
reward.
Sweden, I mean, if you were into the tournament stuff, a lot of analysts and even just projections were kind of saying
USA.
Yeah, projections were saying that Sweden didn't have the best forward core, and a lot of the guys that were on the team in December didn't come back, just because they were getting ready to try to push for camp or NHL jobs. So that happens. That's a factor as well.
Yeah, but honestly, I think Emil Andre, obviously his size is a concern for the NHL level. I totally get that. But the skill set itself, like, we were bringing up the chemo team, and we're going to hear that over and over again with this kid, almost without a doubt, because the games are super similar.
Yeah, and I think the modern day, too, though, with the NHL, at least with the size factor, is that, like, the league's shown, if a player can prove that he has it at the NHL level, has the skill, has the talent, is dedicated, that the size isn't going to matter, right? Like, ultimately, the cream rises to the crop. So, like, he's going to get the chance to show it, especially as a second-round pick.
It could matter depending on his literal, like, physical ability to stay healthy.
Well, yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because there are big guys who get wrecked, right? Like, there are big guys who are more fragile.
Well, I mean, like, he'll get his chance, though. It's not like the ladder, like, or back in the
100%.
day, you're a small guy, you would never get the chance.
Well, and he is that small guy. Like, we got the stumpy small guy, like the team and thing, and that's really the important thing to recognize with Andre. I have a feeling that people will not notice this guy until he is a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, or potentially top 2 in the end.
He's very under the radar.
Dude, that's what happened to Kimmo Timonen. I mean, like, do you think people knew that Kimmo Timonen was a number 1 defenseman we traded for him? Like, kind of. When he got to the Flyers, everybody was like, "Oh, this guy's like really good."
Here,
yeah, he was like, "Oh, he's a pretty good defenseman," but then he had to come here and be the backbone of our D, and he did it very well, actually. So I look at him, and then I look at somebody like Tyson Forrester. Like, there is a chance this kid makes the team next year, or this year.
Yeah, for sure. Especially too with some wingers getting injured. There could be an opening depending on what skill set or fit the Flyers are looking for. I think a big factor is on the power play. Like, if you see him click on the power play with his shot, and the power play's been so shit, like the last few seasons, like, you're going to see the coaching staff saying, well, or even the management saying, you know what, our power play's been so bad, this kid can really bring it. Because when he's on a power play, at least from the way I look at him, the way his shot is just the velocity off the stick, like, that's something you have to be aware of as a defenseman. And the Flyers haven't had players like that. I would say outside of like a Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, really in the last couple seasons on the power play. So, I'd say why not give it a shot if he shows that he has something for sure.
Absolutely. And what about Denoyer not having any kind of not that surprising considering he played a bottom 6 role. He's playing a checking role, but -1 assist. It is a little disappointing.
And the thing is, he looked like more offensively engaged when the tournament started off for 2 games back in December, then shut down. Yeah. So it is a little bit of a surprise.
Injured?
Possibly, but you know what, though? You got to factor in that, like, at least for these younger guys, when they're playing in December like that, they're halfway through their season. They're already up to speed, and they're already, like, they're already sharp with their game, right? Like everything's clicking for them. Let's say having a tournament like this in the summer before training camps or really anything like that, really when the player's focusing on training, getting better, that could be a tough start for a guy. So I don't think that's anything to be too concerned about, but it's obviously you would have wanted to see him as a 20-year-old put up some better numbers.
It was a little surprising. Not that he had to like put up a bunch of numbers, but still -1.
You wanted to see
one assist,
a goal or two, right?
Even a 1 goal, 1 assist +5.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, or
just
+2.
Show me more than just the stats sheet kind of stuff, right? Show the habits in your game.
Having said that, I did not watch this tournament tight enough. I liked everything I've seen from Denoye, so this is not. I also put a caveat. I do not see these tournaments as like the end all be all either.
Oh,
so,
me either. Yeah.
I don't really like short sprint sample sizes. But
and also, there's been so many cases in the past where a guy has a monster tournament and doesn't turn out, or a guy has a shitty tournament. Yeah, that too. Well, I mean, that'll be this season.
That's a TV concerning.
What I was gonna say is this season will kind of tell the tale with him, but. Yeah. I mean, there's been so many cases where guys have had shit tournaments in World Juniors and turned out to be good players, right? So you never know, right? It's only 5, 6, 7 games depending on how far you make it.
Yeah. And I guess let's add this last thing. I did get a question about Cutter Gauthier, why he's not in the tournament. I don't have an exact answer for this. My guesstimation is that it is summertime. It's not normal. The tournament is not normally at this time. He is going to college, and maybe some college players, because even you mentioned that there wasn't full of the prospects this year. I suspect same with Team USA. You see they didn't do very well.
Well, I think for Gauthier, somebody actually asked him at the draft when I was there. One of the reporters, I forget who it was, but they were saying to him, like, are you going to, be getting ready for college, or are you going to play in the World Junior Tournament? He said, actually, no, I want to get ready for college to make sure I'm ready for the college game. Yeah. And then, based on my season there, I'll focus on the World Juniors in December. So I think look to see him on the team in December. And then maybe, on the Flyers the season after, maybe even at the end of the college season, depending on what's going on with the team, right? It's definitely a possibility, because you saw guys like Cates and other college guys come over after their season. So I think that's what he was saying was a goal for him, was to try to make the NHL for next season. So I'd imagine either to the Phantoms maybe after, or maybe they'll give him a couple games in the NHL. It'll be interesting. I'd love to see the guy play.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think that kid's going to touch the AHL. I think he's going to go straight into the NHL next year. Yeah.
I would not.
I think people are severely underestimating him, just like everything else. And it's fine. Like, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, who knows? But I just look at I look at the lack of enthusiasm for everything Flyers right now. I'm not really judging off of anybody else's perspective on what's going to happen with any one of these players, because quite frankly, I'm not in the camp with almost anybody at this point, from what I know.
Also too, like
Vasili, who I guess convince each other that we're right.
Maybe sometimes. Also, though, I think just with a lot of the prospects and people just saying, they may not turn out like a Gauthier, or you can't get so overexcited. I mean, a top 5 pick, the Flyers.
I'm going to allow myself to get excited.
Yeah,
sorry, I don't know.
It's not like it's a 21 first pick in the first round or something like that, and we're thinking like he's going to be a superstar, So top 5 pick. I know the last top 5 pick the Flyers had, it didn't go well, but typically with drafting, it's all lucky. So like, if you think the Flyers already had shitty luck back then, they're bound to hit on something, right? Like Gauthier looks like he has all the tools, so it's just a matter of putting it together, I would say.
That's a good question, actually. Outside of Patrick, what was the other top 5 pick we had prior to that? Is it Joni Pitkinen?
Yeah, Pitkinen, and then I mean
JVR.
Lindros doesn't count because we traded for him. But that's
it's Joni Pitkinen.
JVR, right?
JVR, Joni Pitkinen, yeah.
So you could say out of the last 4, if you include Gauthier, I mean, they really only had 1 miss in Patrick. And I'd argue that's more based around concussions and head injuries versus the fact that the guy has talent.
Yeah, 100%. Rebecca, do you have anything to add for the championship? Otherwise, we'll move on to the other topics.
No, nothing. Okay. Except for when I watched the awards ceremony, I'm like, how do these announcers know these, what is it, the Swedish names and stuff? I'm like, I would totally blow that.
Trust me, they don't even know them. They just give them sheets up in the booth
Yeah.
with all their names on
how
it.
do you even pronounce? Like, how do you? It blew my mind. I was working
Practice, preparation. Jim Jackson's talked about it.
I'd be
He
scared,
reads
man.
them ahead of time.
Yeah, I would too. If
Asks
there's a
players.
Oh yeah, I guess.
If I knew personally, like if I knew I was calling a game and I saw like a couple names that I was like, man, I'm gonna butcher this the whole night. I better practice. Like
it was just amazing. I'm just like, there's no way I could do that. I would butcher everything.
You can ask Vasili how many times I asked him how to say his last name right.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I gotta say it right. I was like, you can't be like on the show and I'm saying
super long Greek last name.
Yeah.
So it's prone to
it's so easy for
pronunciation.
It took me a minute to like get it in there.
It's just, you gotta. The thing is, at first it doesn't make sense. Because if people that don't know, my name's Gianarakos. Like when you see it, it's Gianarakos on paper. So it's like Gianna. So it just makes it hard. Like when you see it versus like how you should actually pronounce it. I think that's probably the issue for most fucking people. But yeah.
All right.
That's all I have on that.
Okay, well, it's all good. All right, well, let's get into the next. So we'll talk about another young guy. We didn't talk about this last time because I think it happened like the day of, or maybe the day before. I just missed it during the podcast for some reason. But Isaac Ratcliffe did re-sign with the Flyers. He's not the only one left, or wasn't one of the only ones. I think there's Allison and Hayden Hodgson are still out there.
Yeah, Allison and Hodgson. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll get signed.
They'll get the qualifying offer or close.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem with, especially with Allison. I think it's probably he probably just wants more money.
He's got to prove it too.
He's also not waiver exempt, or he is waiver exempt, which is fascinating.
Yeah,
he's 24 years old, and that's huge.
Usually 24-year-old guys aren't.
It's really awesome.
He's just missed so much time. I mean,
he's barely played. So Isaac Ratcliffe signs on a 1-year deal, 2-way contract at $813,750. I bet it's a 1-way contract or 2-way contract because on the 1-way. He probably would have wanted that 1-way, or I'm sorry, on a 2-year, he would have wanted that 1-way contract on the next year.
Yeah.
I think the Flyers want to make him work for it a little bit, which is a little weird. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of expected a little bit longer term. I expected 2 years from the Ratcliffe signing.
I thought 2-year, probably this year 2-way, next year 1-way, like you were kind of saying.
Well, it sounds like he's betting on himself, no?
Yeah, basically. So we'll see.
I suspect he's going to be on the team this year.
We'll see in camp. I mean, the impression he makes. I just think a guy who made the impression that he did in the first place last season in his little cup of coffee, like he was on the first 2 lines for at least a handful of games, and obviously you're not going to get that type of ice time unless the management and coaching staff see something. But also, just the intriguing thing for me at the NHL level is guys 6'6", I believe a former 50 goal scorer in junior, like. A guy who has that type of size, obviously, is junior hockey, but that's
size, speed, skill,
but just the ability to finish in close, I think, is the main thing. Like it's almost, I wouldn't say Mike Knuble reminiscent, but like some of his style. When I just saw clips of back in junior, just with the Phantoms, the way he kind of moves around from the net, that could be a tool like on the power play. So the Flyers power play is bad. So I think honestly, I think a lot of at least with the younger guys, I think a lot of their skill sets of what they can diversify out of them and pick out, like, where can these guys help us where we were the worst last season, right? So I think that'll make a case for him. Like if he goes into camp and on power plays as the net front guy and is deflecting pucks and he's all over it, like what's the hurt in giving the guy a shot there when you had the worst, or actually the worst power play in the league last season? So you
have to keep bringing that up.
Yeah, actually, yeah, dude.
It drives us nuts. So
it drives me absolutely insane. I'm like,
but I'm just trying to point out
power plays, and I'm like, oh my god,
I know. I just want to drive the point, like the Flyers, they really need like to just focus on that though, and like be like, okay, how can we utilize everything in our prospect pool, everything that we have, to make it better, right? And if they aren't thinking that way, what's wrong with them? That's my opinion. Because that's a major factor for them trying to accomplish what they're trying to do, build their own players, also get back into the playoffs. I mean, that's their goal. Are they going to get there? I don't know, but we'll see, right?
Yeah. Well, Well, Rebecca, what do you think about Ratcliffe from last year? Do you anticipate that he could make the team this year? Do you think do you think like somebody like Tortorella would be interested? Obviously, we have a bunch of names in that bottom six that are all mulling around there, and obviously McEwen and Delorier are here, and they're obviously like a bunch of guys down there, and Brown is healthy. And what do you think? Would you prefer to see a guy like Ratcliffe in there? Like, is that a name for you really, or is he kind of just like a guy where you're really not sold on him yet?
I'm not sold on him.
Okay.
And that's
fair.
what I want to say. Like, I'm just not sold on him.
Yeah.
Gotta prove it.
I'm really
prove
not.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like, would you rather the more veteran guys kind of get the spot there? Because I have a feeling that's where we're going to start the season.
Yeah, that's where we're going to start the season. But those veteran players really have to prove themselves. I don't even know what happened last year.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I just saw, so like, they just gave up. You know what I mean? It's just like, I get it. You're so frustrated. You just give up. But I don't know. I think Torts is going to be really, really good for the team. I think he's going to make these guys work. Like, prove it, or I'm going to bench you. And I think that's what we need. Look, I wasn't sold on Mike Yo at all. Was not happy.
I don't think a lot of people were.
And I don't think he demanded, you know, the guys to do anything. Now, look, I love AV.
That's a pretty good point.
I love AV. And I know that I'm going to get crucified for this because a lot of people weren't sold on Alain Vigneault. At first, yes, but I think that there was so much, like, I think where Alain Vigneault kind of just like started giving up is when he wasn't getting the backup from you know, the front office like he should. And I think he was just kind of like, screw this, like, whatever. Like, if you guys
tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean the backup from the front office?
I'd be like, listen, I'm not a fan of Chuck Fletcher, and I am not trying to bash anybody on your podcast.
You can.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't care.
Look, everybody's not a fan of Chuck Fletcher. I don't know why.
Fair point.
They continue to keep him on there. I think he's just dragging the organization down.
Did you see something? Because the gut instinct there is interesting. Do you think that there was an issue between AV and Chuck Fletcher? Because it seems like that's what you were hinting at. We don't have to say you had like evidence or something. We can talk about pure gut feeling here. Absolutely. I'm just saying, is that how you saw it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no reason.
Nobody said that on here. Right, Vasili? Nobody said that.
No, really, but it's possible.
Nobody has said that there was a bad relationship between AV and Fletcher.
But I mean, that's something you have to analyze, right?
And
like,
I'm interested in it. That's why I'm digging in.
Absolutely. There was. I mean, it. And look, I'm hoping that it doesn't happen with Tortorella, and he just doesn't say, you know, fuck this and walk away or just give up.
Let's hope not. Jesus.
I know, because listen, I don't know. I truly deep down feel that Alain Vigneault, I mean, I don't know if you guys watch any of the, I think it was like Behind the Glass or whatever.
24/7 you're talking about with AV back in the day?
No, it was like when he was, it was like interviews and clips. I think it was like Behind the Glass.
Okay. And there's like NHL Network does.
Yeah, on NHL Network. Yeah. And it was like him training the guys and like the relationship and like how everything started. And I mean, AV really had passion for what he did. And I think the relationship was great between the guys and him. And then I feel like AV didn't get the support and the backup he needed. I don't know if he went to the front office. You know, when I say front office, you know who I'm talking about. Like, I just feel like there was something there that he wasn't getting the support he needed in order to better the team. Or he put his foot down and said, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, why would you get rid of the head coach? December? the season started October. Like, you didn't even give that man a chance to get you guys through the entire season. Then you put Mike Yo in there, who I'm just gonna not say what I'm gonna say. I don't know.
No, this is interesting.
There's a lot of things just don't add up for me.
And I think that is definitely true.
Yeah.
The way I always interpret it, so I don't think that AV was a bad coach. I've said this on this podcast over and over again. I don't think he was the right coach for this team.
No.
I do think you're probably right that I don't think AV and Fletcher had a great relationship. I don't think that was the case. I think he did go to Fletcher and ask for a bunch of stuff. I think he got some stuff. Probably
but he didn't get what he needed.
Probably a halfway attempt into what he actually was asking for. And that's like, trading Voracek for Atkinson or whatever, like, moves like that, or the Risto, whatever we see, we're just kind of like, okay, this is cool, but not like, I think they didn't have a great relationship. But I actually think that I've said this over and over again. I think AV shouldn't have been coached to even start the season. I think they were considering firing him last year and that they didn't, and they didn't have the team together. And not but they might have quit on management too.
Yeah, like, exactly. It could be a whole thing. Like they just don't believe in the whole regime as a whole. But obviously, but obviously, I mean, as a player, there's a gap, right? Like you're gonna see the general manager, but you're not gonna see him every day like you see the coach. Yes. So that's where it starts, right? It's like a domino effect where we don't believe in the coach, you don't believe in the whole management, then eventually the whole management's gone. I don't know if any of that, like we're not privy to any of that or kind of what happened, obviously. But it'll be interesting to see how they kind of, wrap around John Tortorella, just in terms of the relationships with the players, but also just how the management, like you were saying, how that kind of affects Tortorella and his coaching style. Because that's always an interesting way to look at it, right? We've said on the podcast a lot that, everything's top down. And how does, a general manager like Chuck Fletcher affect the way John Tortorella kind of operates and does his job? So we'll see if the same kind of tendencies arise. And then at that point, to what you were saying, Rebecca, was really the GM all along. Definitely a possibility, I would say.
We'll see with Tortorella. Truly believe that this is Chuck Fletcher's last chance. I feel, I like in deep down in my gut, I feel like this is it. Like it's either going to be Chuck Fletcher or John Tortorella, and I think that hopefully the organization says, you know what, you got to go. Typically, you got to go, Chuck Fletcher.
Typically, as a GM, you get one coach firing.
Yeah, that's already
average.
Passed.
He's gotten two. So
I mean, I don't count.
The first one wasn't his guy. Right, that's what I'm saying. The first guy wasn't, not Yo, I'm talking about Hackstall.
Oh, Hackstall, yeah.
So he fired Hackstall. It's not his guy. It's fine. Right? Then typically you are allowed to fire your guy once, and then you get that last chance. So Tortorella literally, and this is just a generic statement, he might not get fired there, but I completely agree with you. I think if I see what I saw last season, I say he will be fired, regardless of the outcome. Be honest with you. If the trades and all that stuff continues and the reputation of the Flyers continues where it's going, even if the team improves statistically, but the reputation does not improve, I think he will be fired regardless.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just like I thought that AV should have been fired the prior year, and then it took a whole.
You think so?
Oh yeah. You don't get blown out night after night in the following season and survive that as a head coach, whether it's your fault or not. And he was able to survive through the entire season, and then it happened again.
But also, season. Exactly. I
can't blame him all the way. Like you cannot blame.
It's just there's some sort of disconnect. Yeah.
It doesn't matter necessarily if you are responsible for everything. Just like it doesn't matter if Chuck Fletcher is responsible for everything.
That's the outcome.
Or if it's his fault. They are responsible. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter if it's their fault or not. They are responsible. Like I said, and I've said this over and over again. Just because a coach gets fired or a GM gets fired does not make them a bad coach or an idiot. It just means that they were not the right person for this group at this time.
Or
we see it happen all the time.
Yeah.
I've seen good coaches fired after they won championships or take their team to Stanley Cup. I've seen coaches not do a great job, get hired by another team, and then win a Stanley Cup. Like I've seen so many different variations that you have to be open to the idea that it's just the right mix of people, that it's chemistry like everything else. Like, I'm not going to say that AV is a bad coach. I cannot say that because he's been a good coach in the NHL.
Look, we did with the Flyers the first season, right? Yes. It's just there's a parallel. Like you were kind of saying, it's just right place, right time, right mix of people buying into the message, right? Like if you're a coach and your team has actively considered, okay, we're no longer, operating the way he kind of wants under his system. We're not going to play to his system, or certain variations. I'm not going to buy in and do completely what that coach says. Yeah. Once that starts to happen, that affects the whole mindset of the group as a team, and then you're kind of where the Flyers are now. Exactly.
But we'll see.
Okay, you guys win that argument. Okay, well, you win that.
It's not a win because we don't really know.
We don't know. Yeah, it might be the players that are just as fault. Like let's say
we're all guessing.
Let's say hypothetically.
That's the reality.
Hypothetically, I mean, the Flyers are banking that John Tortorella is going to help a lot of their players that have been, flailing, not doing as well as they've done in the past, right? If he comes in and he doesn't help and they just stink, then they're just bad. At that point, what I mean? It's on the player then. It's no longer on, well, the coach couldn't get it out of him. It's just the fact that he can't perform at this level to where he either did previously or where the team projected when they drafted them, right? So that's a reality. There's a point where the player takes the onus, I think, and we could be rapidly approaching that point, really.
I don't know. Let's just hope that Tortorella can turn us around just a tad. Like, I'd be happy with just like a tad.
I think they're going to start out great, to be honest. Yeah. Like, that's my personal opinion.
I know. It's going to be a weird year. But let's talk about the next topic here, and then we'll get into injury updates. And we'll end on that. The next topic is not a big piece of news, but I figured to bring it up anyway. Ristolainen changes his number, going from number 70 to number 55, which was his previous number over in Buffalo. Maybe a statistical thing. I honestly, it does not matter to me at all. I'm used to big defensemen actually having number 55, which maybe that's why he picks it. But
maybe he just felt more at home with that number. He just all
those Risto jerseys that people were buying, those are the special ones now, the 70s. So.
Exactly.
But I am excited to see Risto play. I'm not gonna lie, I'm so sick of being down on the players for doing what they did well. Like, Risto had a good year.
Risto's a good number 4 when he's, when he gets placed in the right situations.
So. When that pairing was on their game of Sanheim and Risto,
they were really good. Yeah,
yeah, they were amazing.
Nobody complained. It's like, but everybody still shits on him like he had a bad season. But like,
no, the team just did as a whole.
For how bad our team did, he didn't have a bad season, and he's one of the toughest people we have on the team.
And I'd argue there's so many. I'd argue too, there's a lot of defenseman shuffling, injuries on defense. At certain points, he played a lot of minutes that John. He probably shouldn't have. But
please, John, Mr. Tortorella,
please run this injuries. Like, I'm tired of these injuries.
That's the hockey gods punishing us. All right. Speaking of which, let's get into injuries. Let's end on the injury front. Let's go with the first one because this is the good news, and we'll end with the bad news part. Joel Farabee hits the ice early after his surgery, which I think is really interesting because same thing happened with Jack Eichel. It makes me think, like, was Eichel right that this surgery is the right? Look, maybe it's a short-term thing. It doesn't matter. And in the long, I have no idea. I'm not a medical expert at all.
Well, I mean, the doctors obviously know something they're recommending for a reason, right?
But it's like both times that I've seen the surgery is that they came back earlier.
Well, what was it, a 4-month initial projection for him to be back on the ice? And
Eichel, same thing, was playing again. That is not me saying rush Farabee back. I'm still cool with him sitting out.
Good sign, right?
But he's on the ice moving. That is awesome.
Oh,
he doesn't have to be playing in games. He has to be like physically moving around.
He's rehabbing and stuff. That's good. That's a great sign. I mean, you know what? You don't want to rush an injury like that, especially with the back. You want to be super careful, young guy, and let it heal to the full nature that it needs to. But I mean, if he's ahead of schedule and the doctors are all for it and everything's looking good, I mean, you don't stop a guy from getting on the ice because things are going well, right? So that's something you got to acknowledge. That it
doesn't have to have contact.
Sometimes it doesn't always go bad though. Like, from the Flyers' perspective, you know what I mean? Like, there are good things that come out of these injuries in a certain sense too. So hopefully we get him back at 100% earlier than we think. But obviously, you don't want to.
He'll be great.
Yeah, we can't be traumatized. Like, look, I know that injuries were insane. Okay, but prior to that, a couple years before that, we had 8 goalies.
Yeah.
Did that happen again the next year? No, not even a little bit. It was completely different the next year.
With the injury bug, it could be luck of the draw sometimes, right?
Look, if it happens again next year, okay, now I would say the entire medical staff's getting fired.
Yeah,
just
to the same extent. To that same extent.
Yeah, it's all juju at that point. Who even knows? But the reality is like this stuff happens. I don't think
contact sport that's very physical and you're moving at a very high speed. So like,
shit happens. I don't think doctors are perfect to begin with. I don't think any of them are perfect. I don't know the extent that these people know. But it's hard for me to believe that our medical staff is so inadequate that they're causing all these
compared to the rest of the NHL. Yeah, exactly.
Could it be better? Yes. If they hire new people, cool. That might still happen, but I don't know. I've seen this with other teams in the past. I'm just hoping the Flyers do better moving forward.
Injury luck. Sometimes you just have a weird year. Yeah.
And look, I'm hoping they do better moving forward. If it's not the case, I'll be asking to fire them too. I think I'm just more patient with it than other people. I mean, you guys don't. I mean, I remember the Eric Lindros situation very clearly. I mean, there was a huge disagreement between the medical staff and Eric Lindros. Like, this is not new to sports or the Flyers.
And how did that work out in the end? So, not very well.
But that's kind of my point. It's like you can go to most teams in the NHL and find these types of situations.
That's what I mean. Exactly. You could pick it out one by one anywhere, right? So it happens all the time.
Well, it's almost always a lose-lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's an unfortunate thing followed by an unfortunate thing by an unfortunate thing. And it's out of a lot of people's control at the end of the day. And that sucks. Except for Scott Stevens. He's the devil. And
literally,
I couldn't even watch him talk on the NHL Network.
You're
I was
just
like,
so
you
pissed.
destroyed my childhood. I was like, it's like watching Satan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that guy stood over my hero being like, I just killed him. He's dead. You see him on the ice? You guys were going for Stanley Cup? No, he's dead. See Eric Lindros? Do you guys remember?
Not good.
It was a nightmare for me. I was a child. I just watched
I've seen that hit. I've seen that hit, that clip so many times. And every time I'm just thinking like, for Stevens, like the thing is, I always go back to that hit and I say, he could have hit him and it affected the game like in a way where like he didn't have to kill him like that. Like he wanted
not need to do that.
He wanted to do it.
It was a headshot. He would have been suspended several games.
Like you could have got him off the puck and made a big hit and
look, he played within the rules in his time. Like I'm not like Chris Pronger was dirty.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at Mike Richards, I mean, was it David Booth?
Oh yeah, he killed him, man.
David Booth's career was never the same after Mike Richards leveled him.
Same thing, yeah.
Never the same afterwards.
You know what though? It's hard. It's hard sometimes to blame the guys, at least from a playing perspective. And the reason is, the game moves at you fast. So sometimes you make a split second decision, you lose an edge into a hit, and then the guy you got him, man. Like it just happens, unfortunately. But that's hockey.
Do you guys think there's any chance that Joel Farabee starts this season top line left wing?
I'm gonna put 50% since he's skating right now because he's already. It's a month and what a half.
50%. It's pretty high too. That's positive.
Yeah, why not? Like,
so
what do we have to lose?
You wouldn't have said the same thing a few weeks ago, right?
If he wasn't on the ice like this,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah. When I saw him a few weeks ago in Voorhees, I mean, he looked great. He really did. So I was like really super stoked because look, I love Joel. I think he's a great player.
Yeah,
you're not gonna get an argument from us there.
I still think he's a potential star player. Like I know,
absolutely.
He's a kid. He's only 21, 22.
Again, Rebecca, my audience knows. I repeat myself over and over again, but like. I am nowhere near the camp of anybody else who says that these guys are done developing. I don't even know what they're talking about. Yeah. I have no idea. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what data they're looking at to make this up and to try to prove it to themselves. I have no idea. But I have not seen this anywhere, not only just in sports, reflected in life. I do not see this pattern.
When is a 22
anywhere?
Human being
24, 25, 26. Exactly. I don't see this pattern almost anywhere except for maybe when they're over 30 and their body starts to decline, some of the players drop off. But typically those guys weren't great players or they were average players
or got injured.
Sometimes
There's lots of factors.
or they're bubble players to begin with, and they lose somewhat of an edge. And but most players around there are not that far apart. Just like most players in the NHL are not that far apart unless you're a star player. Nobody ever talks about.
I just think it's like you had a little period for like 2-3 years there, kind of, where like a lot of younger guys were coming in, making like a huge impact. Though, like Matt Barzal comes into the league as a rookie, gets 80 points. McDavid's coming and getting 100 points. So like Flyers fans see, Joel Farabee's not coming in and getting that.
Can we talk about that?
But yeah, sure. You can't compare like everybody's development though. Like it's not linear, and different players develop at different. Can we
talk about Matt Barzal for a second? I think this is a 100%. Phenomenal example. I think people should really focus on
He dropped off from that 80 point.
But I want to point this out to people because I remember I got in arguments with Islanders fans when this happened, and I understand why. And this is not a knock on Matt Barzal. I would stab a dolphin to get him on this team. I love that man's game. And I was like, I mean that. I love Matt Barzal.
Oh, great player.
When Tavares left that team, I immediately started talking to Islanders fans. They go, "Oh, that sucks. Matt Barzal's numbers are going to drop now," and they're all like, "No, absolutely not. He's our number one center." Blah 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 blah. He has never hit those numbers again. Is he a better player than he was when Tavares was on the team? Yes, he is a better player today. The reason he's not able to hit those numbers is because now he's the number one center, and they two centers. So when I talk about this on the Flyers and you guys keep jumping on people for not producing, I'll say to you over and over again, players do not produce on their own ever.
They need help.
And even though he's still a great player, he had a 10 to 15 point reduction in his points.
And he's also not playing with John Tavares anymore. But also another factor is too, like,
the way they match up.
Yeah. 100%. Like,
imagine no Couturier on this team.
Dude.
No Hayes.
Who are you focusing on as a defense? Joel Farabee, Travis Konecny, a lot of other players that
and a lot of those guys being out at times during the years too.
And usually those players might not get the focus that a Couturier would get from, let's say a first pair defense, hypothetically. But that's why you look at the NHL and people say that like center depth or just player depth is the most important. Right?
Yes, but it's the impact. I think people don't. This is like I talk about, like people jump on these statistical
but then factor that part in exactly.
But like highly productive statistical, like Jonathan Huberdeau. Yeah. Great player, right? Sure, he's going to do very well in Calgary, especially now, right? They loaded up again. So they're still a really good team, especially with Kadri now, right? But you take Jonathan Huberdeau and you throw him on the Arizona Coyotes, he is not even in the conversation for a Hart Trophy.
No, like I'll give you an example.
Nobody is talking about him.
So what? He got 115 points last season. You put him on the Coyotes, getting probably what, 80?
85? Maybe 90? Yeah, it's a phenomenal season, right?
Yeah.
It's a great season. People are going to be like, oh, he's a pretty good player, but he's not on that level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what people are doing. It's driving me nuts. And I honestly, and again, don't forget that when you look at McDavid,
surround the guy with good players, yeah.
Well, don't forget that when you look at McDavid, he is a freak. He is definitely the best player in the world. He's still a Draisaitl. Like the team is not completely devoid of talent. And I've said that about the Penguins for a long. It's not like Crosby did it by himself.
Yeah,
no, but that's what made them so tough to defend against.
Yeah, they're a phenomenal team.
Think about it. They had Crosby, Malkin, Jordan Stahl in the prime. Obviously, this is the Flyers podcast. We don't want to talk about the Penguins. But like, if you're any defense, yeah. But if you're any defense and you're looking, well, how am I going to match up against that? Obviously, it frees up other players that you might not think of, like a not Letang, like a Max Talbot, like a Chris Kunitz, guys that are under the radar but that produce for them. When you have star players,
is it any irony that those players seem to produce around these top guys?
Because they're really good players and it makes the game around the other players and makes things on the ice a lot easier for them. But that's just how it goes, right? Like if you're a good player, you want to play with the guy that you can kind of mesh with, same talent level.
But they have these statistical anomaly seasons.
Yeah,
like a Rust.
Happens. Yeah.
Didn't Rust just have 40 goals or something like that?
Over 30 some. Sure.
He had over. Yeah. Okay, look, is Rust a good player? Obviously, he's a good player, but is he a 30 goal scorer? Probably not. He's probably 20 goal scorer. He's a 30 goal scorer playing with them.
Yeah, exactly. Because they elevate him, and you're playing with the best players in the world.
But that makes sense. But that's my whole point. Is that is the average player. Yeah, they will fluctuate about 20-25% of their productivity based on the team around them. Same with goalies.
Yeah.
But like This is
You're
all
a
time.
product of your environment.
Yeah, it's why like I can't stand some of this like statistic stuff where like people are like nitpicking on like I don't care. I'm always looking to see how is our team performing. That's why I don't jump on Proverb. I don't jump on individual players because the entire team is playing like garbage. How do I jump on one guy for not producing when the other guys are not producing?
It's a team sport also, right? So you got to look at the whole in general and the output that they're kind
of. When Claude Giroux put up 103 points in that season, Sean Couturier was on fire that year.
Oh yeah, he was awesome.
That's my point. It's like when Jake Voracek was one of the leading candidates, Claude Giroux was right with him.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I mean, who else? Obviously, you need 2 players
behind.
Yeah, 2 players to create together. They feed off each other. They play off each other during the games. They're going to score together, right? Good players score goals together.
That's what I'm saying. Is like a lot of it is contributing to the teamwork and the other players around them. So let's go into the last thing, and this is like kind of, I guess, the sad news to end it, but nothing that we don't anticipate.
Yeah,
right? But we do
it's not groundbreaking, and
right.
We talked about it kind of.
Yeah,
a long time,
I think the news is just that Torts publicly says something, right? So Torts comment, I don't have his exact quote, but it's essentially, they were asking about Ellis's condition, and Ellis is working to start off camp, and he does not anticipate that.
I got a bunch of quotes actually, Yariv, so I can
go ahead. Yeah, you want to read
them? Yeah, sure. So basically, what we have here from Tortorella is that. For Ellis, if you're asking him specifically, Adam Kimmelman put an article out for NHL.com. Pretty much, he said, if you're asking me right now, I doubt it, said John Tortorella on Monday when asked if Ellis would be ready to play. I've had several conversations with Ryan as far as how he's doing, Tortorella said. That's been an up and down process for him. He's doing everything he possibly can to get ready for camp, but I'm doubtful that's going to happen. To have an injury like he has, miss training camp and then be ready for the regular season, I think it's going to take some time. Tortorella said, I don't want to speak for Ryan. I haven't spoken to him in a few weeks, but I know it was up and down as far as just what he's doing right now and trying to get himself ready. This isn't a recurring injury. Tortorella also said he wants to get it right. You've got to remember what Ryan Ellis is. He's a competitor. When he plays hard. He's more frustrated than anybody about this. That just hasn't been able to get straightened out yet. So obviously it's an interesting perspective from Tortorella, just the way that he's kind of talking about it. I don't think we're going to see him for a while if we do see him this season, especially just bringing up the fact that, it's going to be hard for him, not to have a training camp and jump into things. It's a wait and see thing with Ellis. The thing, though, and the consistent theme that's interesting for me with Tortorella is, once again, he's sticking up for his players in the media, and that's something you saw or did not see a lot actually with the past coaching regime, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So you see Tortorella saying, that when he plays hard, he's a competitor, and that he's frustrated. So he's standing up for his guys. He's standing up for Ellis, because obviously there's been rumblings that Ellis doesn't want to play here, doesn't want to be in Philadelphia. So I'm sure as the coach, Tortorella makes himself privy to all that as just the type of person that he is, most likely. So he's trying to defend his players. So that's what you want to see. And I mean, that's ultimately how you want to see Tortorella operate in terms of player management and his locker room. The Ellis stuff sucks. I mean, we kind of already had the thought process, most of us, that he wouldn't start the season. At this point, in my estimation, I would be surprised if he plays another game in his career. That's, I mean, a big prediction, but I don't know. Like, at his age with his injury, it's not looking good.
Yeah. Nothing new.
Pretty much.
This is kind of what this podcast has said. Just in anticipation. But, I will say this. The good news is that he has not given up. And as long as he has not given up, I think that's actually a really good sign. And even if he doesn't play for the first half of the year, or doesn't play at all this year, but maybe he comes back next year. Maybe he doesn't even play for the Flyers again, but he goes and plays something, or at least his health is better. I don't know. But the fact that he hasn't given up, I think, is a good sign.
Yeah. But you can tell, I mean, he's a hockey player. He ultimately wants to play hockey. If his health is stopping him from doing that, like, that just sucks for him, because it's stopping him from doing the thing that he loves, right? So
it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for him to join us midway through his season either.
No, definitely not.
It's not like anybody would say, like, oh man, if he can only start the beginning of the year. But
yeah. And I mean, from a Flyers perspective, if he can't play again, they have $6.5 million to work with. So it's not all bad, essentially. You can replace that with a pretty good player using that money. But ultimately, I mean, you'd want a guy like Ellis in there if you could have him.
He'll be on LTIR to start the year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any more thoughts there on Ellis? Sadness? Rebecca, anything?
Not surprised.
Yeah. It's kind of I was like, it's a little bit not a great way to end the episode, but I was kind of like, yeah, that's it.
We got all the positive out, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
finish it that way. That's a good way to finish, I think.
I guess next positive message is our sponsor, Jim Steaks on 4th and South. Make sure to go check out a cheesesteak when they are back up. Again, they did go through a fire. We wish them the best. They will be up. I gotta check actually if they have a date coming up soon, but they'll be up and coming. But again, when they're back up, go to cheesesteak, Jim Steaks, 4th and South. Rebecca, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. You got anything that you got anything you're working on outside of like website or anything you want to let people know of?
I am working on the official merch for Flyers Nitty Gritty. I'm kind of updating. It's a pain in the ass. I'm just going to let you know right now. And Yariv, I know you're probably like, she is driving me up a wall.
Couldn't find anything. I searched. Couldn't find it.
Guess what? I found it.
Oh, good.
So look, I found it.
Oh, thank God.
But guess what? It doesn't work.
Oh, great.
So I'm just like, you know what? I don't care anymore. But no. So yes, the new merch that's getting ready to launch should be shortly. It's going to be fun and exciting. I mean, we have things like tumblers and whatnot, but I kind of put some cool stuff on there, you know, kind of changed up the basic t-shirt and, you know, tumbler type things. Fun stuff. But also, we are going to do a Flyers Nitty Gritty like meet and greet. I think we set a date, so you guys can announce that later on. But it's going to be just something fun. Beers, those who don't drink beers, water. We're going to have some food.
You know how many times we've tried to set up a meet and greet and it has failed? I'm sure Jamie has told you, but I've literally tried 3 or 4 times and then I'll work. So happy you're finally doing this. See, this is why I got
podcast. I got this. This is going to be so much fun. But yeah,
okay, I'm gonna have a beer with you guys in Toronto.
Yeah,
we'll get you here, Vasili. We'll get you here.
Yes. I don't have a passport, or it's not active, so I can't come up there. But yeah, definitely, it's gonna be. I'm gonna put the date out soon, but I want to get everybody excited. I want to meet, you know, the people who read our stuff and like support our stuff, because those are the people that keep us going. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's like a
remind me, Rebecca. We'll announce it on the podcast here too, and. Hopefully, I don't know the exact date that you guys are working with, so I'll have to link up with you on that, but hopefully I can be there. I would like to be there, but we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
Because that's awesome. Love that.
Yes. And also, I'm going to put something out. We need to drive up our followers and subscribers to...
Ain't it the truth? You hearing?
Yes.
Is everybody listening? Because I do say it every week.
So, I think I'm going to do some fun like giveaway when we reach a certain amount of followers on the YouTube channel, on the podcast, on Instagram.
You guys see why I'm excited about, Rebecca? I want you guys to be aware of why I'm excited. This is the whole point. I just letting her do her thing. Like, this is all her brain. So that's awesome.
And
the ideas are flowing. So
yeah, so awesome. I'm going to put something out shortly. Once I get the store up and going, like it should be out shortly. But yeah, so once I think, I don't know, what do you want to do? 1,000? Because I think
we'll talk about it. We don't need to decide on the podcast. We'll talk about it, but there's some stuff we could definitely do.
Definitely want to like, you know, do
definitely more talking to our community. 100% all for it. And I can tell you one thing Vasili and I always wanted to do is like we read our comments all the time, and we don't pull people into the show enough. Like we've talked about doing live stuff.
Yeah.
We do read comments. We address some of them on here, but we really got to do more of that. Like talking.
Yeah, I'm thinking definitely a mailbag. I think before the season starts, around training camp, all the excitement gets going. We'll get some questions in. We'll fire them out.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely looking forward to training camp. I've already told Jamie, like, I'm taking like the week off of work and I will make that hour and a half drive every day. But yeah, I want some of the people to come out there and like, you know, let's meet up and get to like know each other and stuff like that.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, we're going to do more of that stuff. So I hope everybody's listening. And now that Rebecca's here, she has definitely been an awesome driving force in that direction. So thank you. Kidding me? It's awesome. Vasili, what do you got going on? You got anything coming out?
So technically there will be an article up when people are listening to this today on the Wednesday. So keep an eye out for that. And then, I mean, as the season starts to gear up here, usually last season, if you guys followed my coverage, I mean, I was pretty good. I'd usually have an article every week, and then out of every other week, it'd usually be 2 a week. So I'm going to try to get back into that as the season ramps up and just try to get some more content and cover the team. And hopefully it's from a more positive perspective this year in terms of the results. That's what we got to hope for, everybody.
Yep, absolutely. And I do want to add one piece of news here. I just saw from Jamie. I totally missed this, but Tony D'Angelo will wear number 77.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Just wanted to add that.
I think he's old.
That guy is awesome. Yeah. Like Tony, I referred to him as Tony D when I met him, and he was cracking up. But I'm like, dude, like, I love Tony D. I don't care. Everybody says things. Everybody does things. You know, it happens. He's a kid. You know what I mean? I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I've done and said some dumb shit in my life. But look, the spotlight's not on us. Nobody's ever going to know what I said or did, but the spotlight's on him. Give him a break. You know what I mean?
Well, I like that. I would say give everybody a break. And
like, his vibe is great. I love it.
And something I even talked about here, you know, Twitter is really negative. I'm really interested to see if we attack each other less if the Flyers win.
Probably, yeah.
Flyers haven't been winning for a while.
Honestly, I would say that with any sport, winning cures all. So
yeah,
if the Flyers are good, the fan base will be happy.
I like that. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe. Again, check out the team store and everything like that. Rebecca will have more updates with that stuff, and we'll announce more of them on here. And obviously, follow Jamie if you guys don't follow Jamie. Like, he tweets about everything we do. He is our lifeblood. He is the driving force behind this brand. So definitely make sure you follow him. And he's so on top of all the news and everything. So even though I'm not on Twitter, he definitely is. Yeah. So again, thank you to everybody. Like, subscribe, share. Please give us a rating too on Spotify. You know, share us for YouTube, anything. All that stuff is such a humongous help. And then make sure to subscribe. We actually have a pretty decent subscribing rate, but want to get those numbers up, and it helps us a ton. And the channel's already been growing, so it's not like you guys have not been helping, but we want to do even more. We want to be more impactful and get more stuff. So the better numbers we get, the more access we get. So unfortunately, that's how it works. All right. Again, thank you, everybody. And remember, always stay pretty.